In a fiery televised exchange that lit up social media like wildfire, Representative Jasmine Crockett delivered a stunning verbal blow to Fox News host Sean Hannity, sending shockwaves across the political spectrum. The moment, which unfolded during a tense panel debate, began with Hannity attempting to corner Crockett on a topic she had clearly mastered. Hannity, known for his confrontational style and unrelenting commentary, pressed Crockett with a series of leading questions, hoping to catch her off guard. But Crockett, unshaken and composed, leaned in and responded with a calm that belied the power of her words. With millions watching, she calmly uttered a sentence that immediately went viral, slicing through Hannity's argument and leaving him momentarily speechless. It wasn't just a strong retort. It was a moment of clarity that called out hypocrisy and laid bare the faulty logic of Hannity's narrative. "You're asking the wrong questions because you're afraid of the real answers," Crockett said, with a directness that left the entire panel in stunned silence. In that instant, the energy in the room shifted. Hannity, usually the aggressor, blinked in disbelief as the impact of Crockett's words landed. The sentence wasn't just rhetorically sharp, it exposed a deeper issue within the mainstream narrative that Hannity often perpetuated. Crockett didn't just counter his questions, she dismantled the foundation they were built on. Viewers, watching the segment, replayed the moment over and over, marveling at how succinctly she turned the tables. Social media clips of the moment surged within minutes, with hashtags like Crockett clapback and Hannity owned trending within the hour. The comment resonated far beyond partisan politics. It struck a chord with people tired of media spin and political gamesmanship. But Crockett didn't stop there. She followed up her viral sentence with a scathing breakdown of Hannity's framing tactics, citing specific instances where he had twisted narratives or ignored inconvenient facts. She spoke methodically, yet passionately, about policy misrepresentations and the dangers of media manipulation. Hannity attempted to interrupt, but each time he did, she returned to her point with more precision, exposing the fragility of his position. It was a masterclass in intellectual control and rhetorical discipline. Crockett's tone was firm but never disrespectful. Her command of the facts gave her the upper hand without needing to raise her voice or rely on theatrics. Hannity, known for dominating discussions, found himself boxed into corners, forced to confront the reality that his usual tactics weren't working. The audience watching in real time could feel the tide turning. Hannity began to falter, struggling to regain control of the conversation. His questions became more desperate, shifting topics erratically in an attempt to throw Crockett off balance. But each pivot only made it clearer how unprepared he was to deal with someone who knew their subject deeply. Crockett began to cite legislation, data, and even direct quotes from previous Hannity shows, revealing an impressive level of preparation. Commentators across platforms began chiming in, praising her clarity, poise, and unwavering focus. What was intended to be a platform for Hannity to discredit progressive perspectives turned into a showcase of Crockett's skill. The narrative flipped in real time. Hannity was no longer the host dominating the space. He was now the subject of a takedown, unfolding in front of millions. Within 30 seconds of her initial remark, the momentum was so clearly in her favor that even Hannity's supporters started posting awkward reactions. Conservative blogs scrambled to spin the moment, but many couldn't ignore the obvious. Hannity was outmatched. His expressions betrayed a mix of frustration and disbelief. For a man who built a career out of talking over guests, he suddenly had very little to say. Crockett continued to lay out her argument with razor-sharp logic. She didn't rely on talking points, she brought substance. Her critique of media bias, partisan framing, and policy distortion hit so hard that many watchers called it a career-defining moment. For Hannity, it was something else entirely. A career-unraveling moment that revealed how hollow his style could seem against someone with both facts and fire. As the debate continued, it became less about politics and more about truth and accountability. Crockett seized the opportunity not only to dismantle Hannity's credibility, but also to elevate the conversation for everyone watching. She called for a higher standard in media discourse and challenged viewers to demand better from their news sources. Hannity, visibly rattled, attempted to regain ground by invoking outdated scandals and fear-based tropes. But Crockett shut each one down with calm, fact-based counterpoints that made his tactics look tired and ineffective. Commentators began dubbing it the moment the old media guard was publicly schooled by a new generation of political leaders. The intensity of the exchange underscored the stakes. This wasn't just a TV spat. It was a cultural clash over truth, power, and who gets to shape the narrative. Clips of the encounter flooded platforms like TikTok and YouTube, each one titled, with increasingly dramatic but accurate headlines, "Crockett obliterates Hannity," the sentence that shook Fox News and "career over in 30 seconds" dominated feeds. Viewers across the spectrum marveled at the balance of intellect and restraint Crockett displayed. Late-night hosts picked up the story, playing clips and offering commentary that leaned heavily in her favor. Political analysts debated whether this moment would mark a shift in how figures like Hannity are challenged in the public arena. For many, it was clear the age of unchecked media dominance was ending, and accountability had arrived, dressed in knowledge and precision. Crockett had emerged not only victorious in that moment, but elevated in stature as a force to be reckoned with. Back in the studio, Hannity's attempts to pivot or close the segment were awkward and forced. Even his co-panelists seemed hesitant. To support his line of argument, Crockett ended her remarks by returning to her opening point, the need to ask the right questions and to be brave enough to face the real answers. The final blow wasn't loud or theatrical. It was reflective and incisive, the kind of mic drop moment that didn't need shouting to be heard. As the show faded to commercial, the silence on set said it all. Hannity, long seen as a lion in his arena, had just been politically declawed in front of a national audience. Crockett walked away with her head held high, leaving behind a stunned silence and a social media storm that would rage on for days. Post-show analysis was swift and unrelenting. Political blogs, cable news shows and Twitter threads dissected every second of the exchange. Experts praised Crockett's technique, how she stayed calm, avoided personal attacks, and dismantled arguments with facts instead of volume. The consensus was overwhelming. This wasn't just a good showing. It was a defining moment of political courage and clarity. Hannity's defenders tried to downplay the encounter, but even their lukewarm defenses rang hollow. The damage was done, and the contrast was too stark to ignore. While Hannity sputtered and evaded, Crockett educated and confronted. She had done in a few minutes what many had tried for years: break through the media spin and deliver an unshakable truth right into the heart of the machine. In the days following the broadcast, Crockett's stature grew immensely. Invitations to appear on major networks poured in. Her name became synonymous with strength, clarity, and no-nonsense truth-telling. Meanwhile, Hannity faced a wave of internal and external criticism. Critics questioned whether his combative style had finally worn thin. Even long-time viewers admitted he looked off his game. What had been meant as just another combative interview turned into a symbolic passing of the torch. Crockett represented a new kind of public figure, informed, unapologetic, and fearless. The clip of her takedown became a case study in political communication. As she herself later tweeted, "I don't play to win the moment, I show up to change the whole game." And in that moment she absolutely did.